I don't want to hear another white person say the word illegal for the rest of my goddamn life. We are living on stolen land. Our ancestors forcibly and violently seized this land from the indigenous peoples who were living here for generations.
It was the Pope that gave them permission to enslave us because we didn't believe in their whole made-up God. It is insane. Pope Nicholas V, fuck him, says, we grant you by these present documents with our apostolic authority full and free permission to invade, search out, capture, and subjugate the Saracens and pagans and any other unbelievers and enemies of Christ wherever they may be, as well as their kingdoms, duchies, counties, principalities, and other property, and to reduce their persons into perpetual servitude. She told me to read that one more time. I read it twice, mother. A man in Rome, wearing robes, sitting on a throne. This is mother. Sitting on a throne, wrote those words, stamped them with God's seal, and handed them to a king. Now, sidebar. Now you know how you became Christian. Now you know how you became a slave. And you still gonna get up and go to them people's church tomorrow. Them people, that God, the one you worship, gave them permission to do everything they did to us. Enslaved us for hundreds of years. Raped us, all of us, men, women, and children. Ate us, beat us, raped us, sold us for hundreds of years because that one motherfucker said. Pope Nicholas the Fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth, said they could do it.
Their time, people of European descent, their time is up. Don't need to go to the history of it. I would recommend that you go to my bio and go to my my webinar series. I did a 4-part webinar series on a movie I was in called Race War. And it's webinar number 2, Origin of the Caucasoid. We follow their history to the mountains of the Caucasus, to the mountains of the Himalayas, who were impacted by their climate in hostile conditions and lived like that for a couple thousand years. And this is where xenophobia, the fear of the foreign, fear of anything that doesn't look like you and walk like you and talk like you. And this is why some of the members of Congress, the more fragile ones, are trying to pass laws now saying that it is the European architect of society that should be America. In other words, people who speak Spanish, you must become like me. People who pray to Allah, who are Muslim, you must pray to my God. For those of you who are of Asian descent, you must follow our rules. And black folk, we don't even know what to do with y'all because you've been denying us from the beginning. But what the problem is this, is that with the movement of peoples of melanation to America and to Europe, this is happening in Europe. You want to know what I'm talking about? Don't believe a word I say. Check out a book that's titled The Strange Death of Europe. It's written by Douglas Murray. It wasn't written for us. It was written for peoples of European descent, particularly people in Europe, to understand what's happening through immigration. Here in the United States, the same story applies. And that is that, and again, don't believe me, just get a book called The Birth Dearth. Birthdearth. Don't believe a word I say. Study this for yourself. Understand what's happening. Because The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg tells us that immigration worldwide. Now, mind you, who they are now. Remember who they are. They were the first and original illegal immigrants in the world. They did not come with anything to give. Emma Lazarus, in her poem, Statue of Liberty, says it. Give me you're tired, you're homeless, criminals. I mean, she may not have said that, but I'm saying it. You're criminals. You're sick. That's who came to America. Starting in 1870, not in the 1900s. It started in 1870 when they tried to displace black people who were rising from their position of enslavement. They were rising, and in order not to give the jobs and the education and everything to African people, they began to bring Europeans in order to hire them. They had as little
I don't want to hear another white person say the word illegal for the rest of my goddamn life. We are living on stolen land. Our ancestors forcibly and violently seized this land from the indigenous peoples who were living here for generations.
They studied us like lab rats, boxed the black man in, cut off resources, sterilized our women, then labeled us dumb for not... You keep calling us African Americans to keep us from realizing we're the true proprietors of the American landmass. That name is a diversion. A legal trap that lets you steal the allodial title. What? We let you in with peace and you stole the land, broke every treaty, enslaved our children, and even now your behavior hasn't changed. You rape the earth and call us criminals. You orchestrated centuries of eugenics, sterilization, and institutional sabotage, and then you sit here suit and tie telling me the black man is undereducated? That's not folly. That's premeditated sociogenetic war. You dare to call my people uneducated while quoting books we wrote and systems we built. You are the Tomahawk, the imitator civilized by us, then turned thief. Would you ever disrespect my people like that again?
They say black Americans, who are actually the indigenous Americans who were enslaved on their own land here in America, came here by ship. But the truth is, it was Europeans who flooded this land by the boatloads. Ship after ship, wave after wave, they poured into the Americas, not enslaved, but seeking land, freedom, and fortune. By the 1700s, tens of thousands of settlers from Ireland, Scotland, and Germany crossed the Atlantic. Philadelphia became the largest port of entry, followed by Baltimore, Charleston, and Boston. They came for farmland, religious freedom, and new beginnings, entire families stepping onto land already inhabited by indigenous nations. But while newcomers were building new lives, indigenous Americans, the original people of this soil, were being erased on paper. Laws and census rolls worked hand in hand to bury their identities under new racial categories. Children documented as Indian in one generation were suddenly labeled mulatto or colored in the next. In just a few decades, millions of indigenous bloodlines were hidden in plain sight. The 19th and early 20th centuries brought an even greater surge. Between 1892 and 1954, more than 12 million Europeans, Italians, Polish, Russians, Greeks, Germans, Jews, and others passed through Ellis Island alone. Other ports like Galveston, Boston, and New Orleans received thousands more.
Most of immigrants flock in, 1 million a year. They come in teeming steerages from Italy, Russia, Central Europe, hoping for a better life and dreaming that America's streets are paved with gold. They will bring...
They boarded in many parts of Europe and in many kinds of vessels, most to New York and some to other ports. But they had one thing in common. They were traveling steerage, and the steamship companies understood the profit in numbers.
By 1900, over 30 million Europeans had entered the Americas. They came freely by the millions, reshaping the population and rewriting the demographic story of this land. But as ships unloaded their passengers, another story was being buried. The people already here were being renamed, reclassified, and pushed out of history. This history matters because it changes everything about how we understand identity in America. If we only believe that so-called Black Americans came here solely as Africans in chains, although they were on this land long before any European or African set foot here, we accept the lie that they have no ancestral claim to this land. But the records, the reclassifications, and the lived history tell a different story. Europeans came here by the boatloads. They brought disease, famine, and policies that erased entire nations. Meanwhile, the people of this land were shipped out, renamed, and written out of their own story. The truth is clear. So-called Black Americans are not foreigners. They are the home itself. So, the next time a European tells any of us to go back to Africa, just remember this. We were already here, and we are still here. But think about where your ancestors came from.
I don't want to hear another white person say the word illegal for the rest of my goddamn life. We are living on stolen land. Our ancestors forcibly and violently seized this land from the indigenous peoples who were living here for generations. I don't want to hear another white person say the word illegal for the rest of my goddamn life. We are living on stolen land. Our ancestors forcibly and violently seized this land from the indigenous peoples who were living here for generations.
Blaming everything on white people. Oh, you're not gonna like this. World War I, white people. World War II, white people. The Vietnam War, white people. Slavery, white people. Systemic racism, white people. Racism in general, white people. Thousands of years of Asian history being wiped off this planet, white people. Africa decentralized for decades. South America decentralized for decades. The Middle East decentralized for decades. White people. Capitalism, white people. Fascism in America, white people. Oh, look at that, you're Christian. Bet. Christianity being used to justify slavery? White people. Christianity being used to justify massacring Native Americans? White people. There's a fake Christian that sold Bibles with his own names on it that was built and maintained by slaves. This motherfucker's white. Who led Germany during the 1930s? A white Christian. Which group of people colonized Africa? White Christians. Klan members. White Christians. St. Peter's Cross being misunderstood as a symbol of Satanism. White people. Border problems. White people. White people. The metal community being full of racist, ignorant bitches. White people. Speaking of that, Pantera. White people. The current dog shit state of the movie industry. White people and capitalism. The current dog shit state of the music industry. White people and capitalism. Specifically shit like Spotify. The current dog shit state of the gaming industry. White people and capitalism. Mount Rushmore. White people. This is some colonizer shit. Give native people their sacred land back. Dingoes. White people. The extinction of the dodo bird. White people. Fucking cave diving. White people. Last but not least, the useless existence of you and your mother. White people. That was 2 minutes of speed reading, and I'm barely on page 1 of the Cracker Book. Why are we being racist? Racist towards who? Old Man Coyote? You can't treat white people differently. That's racism. That's not how that works, stupid. I would love to break this to you, so here we go. It is impossible for a person of color to be racist towards one another or to a white person. Racism is something exclusive to white people. Only white people can be racist. The word you're looking for is prejudice. Can a person of color be prejudiced towards a white person? Yes. Can a person of color be prejudiced towards another person of color? Yes. A lot of Asians are prejudiced towards black people because of xenophobia, because of colorism, and surprise, surprise, because of white supremacist propaganda. Prejudice, however, is completely different from racism. Racism is systemic. Racism is tied with colonization. Racism is tied with slavery. Racism is tied together with generations upon generations upon generations of classism and supremacy that only benefits white people. Why do you think it was harder for Muhammad Ali to change his name than Bruce Jenner to change his gender? Take the colonizer history you've learned and throw it in the trash. Relearn the real history of the people to fully comprehend the definition of racism. With all that being said, I want to make something really fucking crystal clear for you. When you see me or any other person of color treat white people differently or say shit like white people can't be trusted, that is not prejudice, nor it is racism. Bitch, that's called being careful. Only crackers would believe that other unrelated egregious stuff happening around the world would justify or minimize their own horrific horrific history or actions. I don't give a fuck that slavery was also happening in Asia. It doesn't change the fact that your great-great-great-grandpa owned slaves. America was built on the destruction of Native Americans, the blood, sweat, tears, and literal flesh of African Americans. Now, after all of that, you're telling me that you not only have the audacity to call African Americans lazy, ignore Native Americans, but you're also trying to minimize what happened in those history books. From the bottom of my cold, dead heart, you crackers deserve the days you deserve.
The First World War. It started in July of 1914 in Sarajevo and ran until November of 1918. The combatants were the British Empire, France, Russia, Italy, the United States, Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. The total death toll, by most peer-reviewed estimates, was approximately 20 million people. The starting parties were European. The killing fields were Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Africans, Asians, and Caribbeans were drafted into the war by their colonial masters and died on every front. The Second World War. It ran from September of 1939 to September of 1945. The combatants again were European powers plus the United States, plus Japan in the Pacific Theater. The death toll, by peer-reviewed estimates, is approximately 75 million people. The Holocaust killed 6 million Jewish people in Europe. The Nanjing Massacre killed roughly 300,000 Chinese civilians in 6 weeks. The 2 atomic bombs dropped by the United States on Japan in August of 1945 killed approximately 200,000 people in the immediate aftermath and the months that followed. Every single one of those events was authored by either a European or American national project. The Korean War, from 1950 to 1953, killed roughly 3 million people. The Vietnam War, from the late 1950s to 1975, killed roughly 3.5 million people, including over 58,000 American troops, of whom a disproportionate share were Black Americans drafted at higher rates than their share of the population. The post-September 11th wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Pakistan, Somalia, and Libya, according to Brown University's Costs of War project, have killed an estimated 4.5 million people. Added up, just the wars I named, between 100 million and 120 million human beings dead in modern war. Every one of those conflicts started or escalated by a European or American power. That is the arithmetic. That is the receipt.
Lives so that you can see minorities prosper. And most importantly, you deserve those chair shots. White people ended slavery has got to be the dumbest shit crackers have ever said to me. First of all, not true, because what the fuck do you think the slaves were doing during the Civil War? Chill out at home? Well, you know, some of them did, but regardless, the point still stands. Second of all, even if this is true, so what, Timmy? You unfucked a situation that was originally fucked up by you for a very long time. That means it took a while for y'all to understand that this is fucked up. And even then, the situation is still astronomically fucked. Timmy, do you think that after slavery, everything was sunshine and rainbows? How is any of this deserving praise or acknowledgement? 10 years after the Civil War, the wealth gap between a white person and a black person is 23-1. And not to mention, lynchings. How the fuck does any of this put a smile on my face? Y'all were so mad you couldn't own people anymore. You created the Klan. Don't type in my comment section, the Klan was created by the Democrats. This is some convenient shit only the whites would say. If the originality of something determines what it is, then all crackers go back to Europe. Every white person should be forced to look at the picture of Emmett Till before he was buried. And then you will finally understand that this doesn't mean jack shit to me. And especially, it doesn't mean jack shit to my scrumptious African Americans. Don't be mad at black people in TV shows and movies, and then go to church every Sunday to pray to white Jesus. I've seen a lot of Twitter fingers complaining about this, and this, but then it's fucking crickets when it comes to this. Don't sit there and pretend like you guys are bitching and moaning about these media because they are historically incorrect, or as if they are not staying true to the original work. You guys don't give a fuck about that. All of this yapping, it's because you're racist. Take the hood off, Timothy. We all know it's you. You You complain about this because it fits your racist agenda, but not this because it doesn't fit your racist agenda. You guys were yapping constantly about how Ariel cannot be black. There's all this yapping when Moses is white. Apparently, according to crackers, the Bible has an extra commandment. Thou shalt bullshit to further on thy racist agenda. All these Klan members gathering around saying how this is historically inaccurate. Where were y'all when this movie was released? This movie is both scientifically and historically inaccurate. By the way, if you want to criticize this choice of casting, you should say she cannot act. I'm sorry, girl, but you can't. That movie was so bad in so many ways. Here's the icing on the Klan cake. You guys never talk about how characters have to be white because it would destroy your talking point. Batman has to be white because one of the biggest part of his character is recognizing his own white privilege and using it to help people and fight crime. Same thing as Iron Man. Big Daddy from Princess and the Frog has to be white. As a matter of fact, the only incorrect thing about this guy is that he's not racist. Nathan from The Last Samurai has to be white. Only a white person would obsess over Japan like this. So with all that being said, and in conclusion, crackers, all this complaining about black people in media, bro, sounds about white.
White people didn't invent slavery. In fact, they were the first to end it. But somehow, saying this is controversial.
There's a lot of ways for me to explain why this narrative is a big pile of horseshit. Today, let's go with the most direct one. Close to the start of the Civil War, slave rebellions rose up all around America and the world. We have the 1811 German Coast Uprising, Nat Turner's Uprising, the Haitian Revolution. Slavery wasn't that profitable anymore, so they ended it on paper and traded one form of evil for another. Black people fought and freed themselves, while the whites wasted their fortune on pointless wars.
Slavery is evil, practiced by everyone to everyone.
The map you showed in your video was founded on fucking Reddit, and it's also fucking wrong. There's missing parts everywhere, including America, Congo, and Vietnam. And slavery didn't end in Russia in 1723. It technically ended in 1902. I don't know how much research you did, but do more of it.
I went to Ghana. I stood in a slave dungeon where people who looked like me sold people who looked like me to white people.
I cannot fucking believe those words came out of your mouth. Let's take a look at these 5 Native American tribes. For the longest time, they lived with white people. They developed economic ties, they owned slaves, they signed treaties, they even wear European clothes. Do you know why they did this? Because all the other tribes that didn't were nearly fucking wiped out. The same thing happened to African people, dumbass. It especially happened to the people in Ghana, the place you fucking went to.
Europeans did take slavery to another scale, but it's not because they were more evil. It's because they had the technology to commit evil on an industrial scale.
Let me understand your logic. Better technology equals slavery. Don't multiply yourself. By the way, the people with less technology were undefeated for 30 years.
Which major power stopped slavery first? The British.
For fucking who, when, and where exactly? Immediately after slavery ended on paper, European countries colonized Africa. It was literally called the Scramble for Africa because they were panicking that slavery ended. From 1904 till 1945, the British owned 25% of the world, and they were stealing and taking every resources and wealth they can from these colonies. The rest of the video is just some all lives matter shit that I'm not gonna entertain, but one thing before I leave. I'm not making this video to debunk this guy or to make the whites mad. I consider these people lost causes. I'm making this video for the younger generation to show you guys what the whites is really about. That this country was built with blood and bones. Because I know they're not teaching this shit in school.
Black people and Asian people are meant for each other. I know H-Mark Gate is over, but let me piggyback off this subject and present to you Black and Asian solidarity. If you guys don't know, we've always been there for each other since the beginning. Let's take a trip through history to really understand that. Black people were dying in the Vietnam War more than white people per capita. But did you guys hate us? No! As a matter of fact, y'all understood that that was the white man's war. Here's black people protesting against the Vietnam War. This is Yuri Kochiyama, an Asian woman activist, and she was really good friend with Malcolm X. See, we've always been there for each other. Black people, during the H-Mart thing, you guys were not in our business because your problem, our problem. Our problems, your problems. We have always shared problems. Let me prove it. Y'all got Uncle Toms, we got Uncle Tams. They destroy villages in Africa, also bomb the shit out of Asia. Y'all deal with the Klan, we deal with the Klan. Here's Martin Luther King and Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist. They were probably talking about how to deal with the Klan in this picture. Look at this. This is the wealth inequality in America. Your problems, our problems. You guys know what else we have in common? We're diabolical builders. The Chinese people built the Great Wall of China, a proper wall. The people of Mali built Timbuktu, a proper city. Just like the people of Southeast Asia, black people of America have rebuilt their identity, community, and culture brick by brick. They keep destroying black towns, but you guys give up and stop rebuilding? Fuck no! It used to be that you can't have shit in Detroit. Detroit is kinda okay now. Another reason for black and Asian solidarity is rice. That's right, rice gang. Do not let the crackers propaganda deceive you. Black people love rice as much as Asian people. Here's African rice, here's Asian rice. Y'all remember when I said you got Uncle Toms and we got Uncle Tams? Throw both of these traitorous motherfuckers in Chinese prison and make them work on rice fields. If they want to be for the whites, treat them as such. With all that being said, in the spirit of black and Asian solidarity, I propose that the Asian community make our own version of the Black Panthers. We're gonna call it the Flying Phoenix.
I don't want to hear another white person say the word illegal for the rest of my goddamn life. We are living on stolen land. Our ancestors forcibly and violently seized this land from the indigenous peoples who were living here for generations.
So my ancestors were asked by white men to come to this country, which they had stolen and forced black people to build, because they were hoping that my ancestors would be the new cheap and disposable labor to undercut the recently freed black people that lazy white men didn't want to pay. And when my ancestors wouldn't do that, they were lynched and massacred, their towns were destroyed, they were blown up while building the railroads, and ultimately they were excluded from society and the country for nearly 60 years. Then when the United States asked us to come back in the 1960s because they wanted to put us in the way of black people again, and the United States needed to rehabilitate its reputation with Asian countries that were gaining in economic and political power, we had civil rights because of black people.
Hot take, but I think that Asian people and black people are meant to be friends. We have so many cultural similarities that make it easy to relate to each other. Both cultures got family values, tough-ass food, strict-ass parents. Oh, and don't get me started on family functions. My homeboys be talking about black people get turned at the family function. Hey, you haven't seen the Asian family functions though. I'm talking about Viet, Filipino, Kazakh. We go crazy. Hear me out. Every Jackie Chan meets his Chris Tucker. On some real shit, me and my black friends, we just click. Like, if I'm playing R&B in the car, they're gonna be like, yo, pass me the aux. I fuck with anime, they gon' watch it with me. Bro, now that I think of it, there's so many examples of this type of friendship online. Bro, why do you think Kai Cenat and Ray got along so well? K-pop music literally takes inspiration from African-American artists. There's way too many similarities. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you guys think, and also let me know what other race duos there are.
I'm mad at Asian Americans, because why are we so smart but so silent? What's with the silence? I suspect that if we opened our mouths, we would side with black people and other brown people as the real American heroes. Yeah, we're brown, not white. But this would disrupt the white supremacy brainwash we're caught in. And deep down, we hate ourselves for siding with whiteness. We know they're wrong. Our silence is the sound of us hating ourselves. But that's the Squid Game trap that they set for us, an Asian American matrix that messes with our reality. And it's all based on hating black people. You know, the ones we're all secretly trying to copy, even the white peoples. White supremacy isn't smart, but it's tricky like that. You like being tricked? I don't know any Asians who put up with that. We gotta decolonize ourselves and find Asian joy. Therein lies.
I don't want to hear another white person say the word illegal for the rest of my goddamn life. We are living on stolen land. Our ancestors forcibly and violently seized this land from the indigenous peoples who were living here for generations.